On the question of what they've done to deserve the kind of abuse they get from the newspapers, do we know? Do you know?
In terms of the abuse they get from the newspapers will pick up on anything just for sales.
Yeah, but they haven't done that to Kate Middleton. So why have they done it to this pair?
I mean, they were quite ruthless with Kate Middleton.
They weren't quite ruthless. They poked a little bit of fun at her for not having a job, and they reported on the snobbery that she encounters in aristocratic circles because her mother was an air hostess. But they certainly didn't sort of doorstep her dad in the hope of getting him to say disgusting things about his own daughter. They didn't pay money to estranged family members from profoundly dysfunctional backgrounds. I mean, they went after Meghan Markle in a way that I can't actually think of. I'd compare it perhaps to Britney Spears or Lily Allen. It was just quite bizarre. Do we know what they did wrong in the first place?
It's like your best friend marrying somebody who's totally dominated him. And
where do you get this? So there we go. That's something I've read in newspapers written by ignorant people. Where are you getting your information from?
Newspapers. This is my own conclusion.
So what's it based on? The idea that she totally dominates him. How did you arrive at that conclusion? When did you arrive at that conclusion?
Pretty early on.
Okay. And what was the evidence for it?
Deviation from royal protocol, I would think.
No, the evidence for her totally dominating him.
By Harry deviating from royal protocol.
For example?
I mean, for example, the photographs that would normally be expected after the birth.
Pardon?
Photographs that would normally be expected of a new birth of a
photographs
baby.
of the baby she'd just given birth to.
Which has happened in every case previously.
Yes, but you're talking about her dominating him. So you think he would have wanted to do it differently and she didn't let him with the photographs of the baby that she'd just given birth to. And you said it was pretty much from the start. No. You told me she dominates him. That's got nothing to do with royal protocol. He finds royal protocol presumably considerably more restrictive than she does because he's lived with it all his life. So where are you getting this evidence from that she totally dominates him? Because I've seen it a lot, particularly from people denying that their negativity is in any way racist. It's all to do with how pushy she is. So show me, because I can't see it at the moment.
It's to do with how pushy she is.
That's what I said. So where's the evidence?
Prince Harry was the kind of the saviour of the royal family. He's the shining star.
Yes. Where's the evidence that she, quote, totally dominates him, end quote? Because that's offensive to both of them.
The fact that in such a short time he's changed so completely.
Well, we all change when we fall in love, particularly with people that make us want to be better than we were before we met them. So again, the evidence that she completely dominates. Just one little example before we bid farewell and you step back from national radio. Where's the evidence that she completely dominates him?
Well, just the statement from yesterday that they want to step back from royal life.
But where's the evidence that she completely dominates him, Steve?
Well, that is the evidence.
No, it isn't. That's the evidence that they want to step back from royal life.
Would there be?
Would there be? Steve, you just told me the reason. They want to step back from royal life. You told me she completely dominates him, and I want to know. And I suggested that you might just have swallowed that line from ignorant journalism, and you were adamant that you hadn't. So you must have. No. So where does it come from?
No. Unlike you.
Yeah. So
I've got experience.
You've got loads of experience. So where's the evidence that she completely dominates him?
You have no experience.
I've got no idea about anything. That's why I'm asking you. Where's the evidence that she completely dominates him?
Because of the statement from yesterday. There's no other possible explanation.
Well, apart from the fact that they want to step back from public life. That's the other possible explanation. So you need to just give me one little nugget of because not least because you said it was obvious from the start, and now you're saying it's been obvious since yesterday. So leaving that embarrassment aside.
No.
Oh, yes. I was here. I was listening. You said it's been obvious from the start. So what is it based on? Your conclusion that she completely dominates him, Steve?
The complete change in his personality.
Crikey! So you've known him all his life.
Sorry?
You've known him all his life.
What's all of his life got to do with the statement?
To be able to observe a complete change in his personality. I don't know if his personality has changed at all. When did you first meet him?
So you've grown up.
No, it's a simple question. When did you first meet him?
I haven't met him.
But his personality has completely changed, and you're not basing that on anything you've read in the newspapers. So where are you getting it from? Where are you getting it from?
I've followed him since he was born, as you probably
well, I hope you haven't. There's laws against that sort of thing. But where is the evidence, A, that his personality has completely changed, and B, that she completely dominates
You're talking
him?
about something that you know nothing about.
Exactly, that's why I'm asking you.
There's a question that keeps coming up again and again whenever Harry and Meghan Sussex are discussed in the press. And it's a question that no one in certain newsrooms seems capable of answering honestly. What exactly did they do to deserve this level of hostility? Not disagreement, not criticism. I'm talking about sustained, aggressive, sometimes cartoonishly cruel coverage that treats two real people like punching bags in a national sport. And the uncomfortable truth is this: when you actually slow things down and demand evidence, the entire narrative collapses faster than a tabloid exclusive written on vibes and grudges. Listen closely to what's being said in the quoted exchange here. The speaker makes a crucial point that many commentators avoid. Newspapers absolutely scrutinize public figures. That's part of the job. But the difference is how that scrutiny is applied and who it's applied to. The same press that claims it's just doing its job somehow found restraint, proportion, and boundaries when it came to others. No doorstepping parents, no checkbooks waved at distant relatives hoping for something disgusting to print. No mining of personal background to manufacture class-based sneers. Yet with Meghan Sussex, suddenly nothing was off limits. Everything was fair game. And that tells you everything. One of the most revealing lines in the article compares what happened to Meghan Sussex to the treatment of Britney Spears and Lily Allen. And that comparison isn't dramatic, it's accurate. This wasn't playful teasing or curiosity gone too far. It was relentless. It was industrial. It was a campaign. And when someone says, "I can't actually think of anything like it," that's not exaggeration. That's someone searching their memory and coming up empty, because this level of fixation is rare. And here's where the comedy of it all begins, because once the attacks run out of substance, the stories start feeding on themselves. One of the laziest, most recycled accusations is that Meghan Sussex dominates Harry. That she somehow controls him like a remote control device with a broken mute button. It's said with total confidence, repeated endlessly, and yet when challenged, when someone simply asks, "Where's the evidence?" suddenly everyone develops amnesia. What's fascinating is watching how fast the goalposts move. First, it's obvious from the start. Then it becomes, well, pretty early on. Then suddenly it's actually just yesterday. That's not analysis. That's improvisation. That's someone backing into a conclusion and hoping nobody asks follow-up questions. And unfortunately for them, someone did ask. Repeatedly, calmly, relentlessly. Show me one example. Silence. Give me one piece of evidence. More silence. At that point, it's less an argument and more a live audition for a role titled "Person Who Read Headlines and Thought That Was Research." One of the supposed examples offered is deviation from royal protocol, which is where the argument truly eats itself. Harry grew up inside that system. He understands its rigidity better than any outside observer ever could. To suggest that Meghan Sussex somehow forced him to deviate from rules he's lived under since birth is not just illogical. It's insulting to his intelligence and agency. The implication is that Harry has no independent thought, no preferences, no personal boundaries. Apparently, love erased his free will overnight. It's almost impressive how dehumanizing that narrative is to both of them. Then we get to the baby photo obsession, which might be one of the strangest hills critics chose to die on. The idea that not immediately posing for cameras somehow proves domination is imaginative, to put it politely. If protecting privacy during a vulnerable moment is now evidence of manipulation, then congratulations. Basic human instinct has officially been rebranded as villainy. And again, when pressed, did Harry want to do it differently? Was there disagreement? The answer is pure guesswork dressed up as certainty. There's a moment in the quoted exchange that perfectly captures the absurdity of this whole thing. When asked directly, "So where are you getting this information from?" the response boils down to, "I've seen it a lot." Seen it where? In articles written by people who already decided what they think? In comment sections fueled by outrage algorithms? That's not evidence. That's an echo chamber. And mistaking repetition for truth is how misinformation gets a press badge. What really unsettles critics is not that Harry has changed. It's that he appears healthier, clearer, and more purposeful. And instead of accepting the obvious explanation, that being with someone who supports you can bring out growth, they frame it as corruption. Apparently, personal development is only acceptable if it happens quietly and without challenging anyone's expectations. The moment growth comes with boundaries, suddenly it's suspicious. There's also a delicious bit of irony in people claiming Harry's personality has completely changed, while admitting they've never met him, never spoken to him, and are basing their assessment on headlines. That's like reviewing a restaurant you've never visited because you once saw a blurry photo of the menu online. Yet this kind of confidence is treated as commentary rather than what it really is: projection. And let's talk about the underlying tone of these accusations, because it matters. Saying someone is dominated strips them of autonomy. It suggests weakness, passivity, and a lack of self-direction. Applying that label to Harry is disrespectful. Applying it to Meghan Sussex paints her as manipulative by default. It's offensive to both of them, and the speaker in the article rightly calls that out. You don't get to insult two people at once, and then pretend you're just being observant. What the exchange exposes more than anything is how narratives are often built backward. The conclusion comes first. This relationship is the problem. Then the search begins for anything at all, that might support it. When nothing fits, assumptions step in. When assumptions fall apart, repetition takes over, and eventually people start mistaking familiarity for fact. And here's the part that makes certain commentators visibly uncomfortable. There is another explanation for Harry and Meghan Sussex stepping back from public life. A very obvious one, a very human one. Wanting peace, wanting control over one's own image, wanting safety, wanting sanity. But acknowledging that would mean admitting that the press environment played a role. And that's a conversation many outlets are desperate to avoid. Instead, they'd rather invent a controlling villain than look in the mirror. The exchange ends with a quiet but devastating realization. After all the bluster, all the certainty, all the accusations, the person making the claims ultimately admits they have no idea. No evidence, no first-hand knowledge, nothing beyond vibes and yesterday's headlines. And yet those same claims have been printed, amplified, and debated as though they were established truth. That's not journalism. That's gossip wearing a tie. So when people ask why Harry and Meghan Sussex push back against media narratives, this is why. Because when challenged, those narratives can't stand on their own legs. They wobble. They contradict themselves. They rely on implication rather than proof. And humour helps here because sometimes the only reasonable response to such confident nonsense is to laugh and ask once more, where's the evidence? Harry didn't lose himself. He chose himself. And Meghan Sussex didn't dominate anyone. She stood beside someone who decided to live differently. That's not a scandal. That's adulthood. And if calling that out makes certain commentators uncomfortable, well, maybe discomfort is long overdue. If you enjoyed this unfiltered breakdown and you're tired of recycled talking points dressed up as insight, make sure you subscribe to Sussex Unfiltered. This channel exists because lazy narratives deserve to be challenged, and because truth is far more interesting than tabloid fiction. Hit subscribe, stay with us, and we'll keep cutting through the noise, with receipts, clarity, and just the right amount of humour.